The Gallipoli campaign was the final act in the Ottoman Empire's long history of military engagement on European soil. The Turkish War Memorial, here at Gallipoli at the entrance to the Dardanelles Straits, stands as a powerful reminder of the devastation that the war brought to all those who took part in it. Kenan Çelik is a local guide and a veteran of the Turkish army. His relatives fought and died at Gallipoli. The Battle of Gallipoli, a moment of nationhood for modern Turkey, but the soldiers who were fighting here, they were fighting for their homeland, an Ottoman Empire. It was a matter of survival, was it not?
Of course, it was a matter of survival. As you know, Navy attacked to force through Dardanelles. It was Churchill's idea. It would be easy to get through and occupy Istanbul, and then city would be sandwiched. Meanwhile, the Russians were supposed to come from north and invade Istanbul. And then Turkish existence in Europe would be exterminated, and Turks would have no lands in Europe at all. This was the idea in 1915. So then what about Turkish people? Where they go? Where they have a nation?
Right. I mean, they were. This was the heartlands, as well as the homelands. It was the heartlands of the Turkish Empire by this time. There was nowhere to run to, nowhere to hide.
We rather die here in the battlefield rather than see this. So it was homeland, of course.
For the Allies, Britain, Australia, New Zealand, we remember this battle for the huge loss of life. But equally on the Turkish side, there was also many, many casualties.
57th Regiment, for example, joined the fighting. Turkish regiments at that time had nearly 3,000 men, and only a dozen survived from this regiment. The distance between trenches 8 yards, that is certain.
8 yards?
8 yards.
Goodness.
And men in the first row die, and then men behind in the second row, no, they will replace them in a few minutes, and they will die. And knowing this, without any hesitation, without any orders, they move and then replace first line, which was wiped out already. It was the spirit of Turkish army which saved the country, motherland for us, and that was very important, significant thing.
Well, he built a fantastic memorial to all these dead.
A lot of Turks visit this memorial and try to find their relatives. My family lost 2 members.
Really?
My great-uncle died here. My grandmother used to say, when he was called to join the army, he said before leaving home, if I go to Gallipoli, don't expect me anymore. A month later, army sent a report to the village. He was killed here. In war, everybody suffered. We know this, definitely. We welcome people, and we think there's no point in keeping hatred or animosity anymore, and we see this as a place of reconciliation. Gallipoli should be a place of peace, not war anymore.
By the end of the Gallipoli campaign, there were 100,000 dead. For the Allies, it was a military disaster. For the Ottoman Empire, which was pretty much on its knees by this time, it was a last glorious victory, a shout of defiance. For the modern Republic of Turkey, Gallipoli is remembered as a moment of nationhood, a defense of the motherland when all else was lost. Gallipoli can be all these things.
When it comes to Gallipoli, the Turks are fighting for their own independence, in a sense, in the same way that the Bulgarians, the Serbs, the Montenegrins, the Greeks had. And they're in a sense, the last country in the Ottoman Empire to declare independence.